What separates a nation of freemen from a nation of slaves is a few principled who are willing to rise up and love their neighbor, love liberty, and defend the rule of law. Without that, you never have liberty, and you can never maintain it. This is a dark day for America. It's a dark day for liberty, and let me try to condense quickly what's happening in Oregon as we stand on the brink of revolution. The patriots down in Oregon, on the Oregon front, were working to take back the land that the federal government has illegally occupied for years and years and years, and restore it to the people for beneficial use. But the message was more than that. The message was one of liberty and freeing our children from the shackles of slavery and a tyrannical government that has grown so great and abusive and tyrannical that they have no part with our Constitution. They have no authority in the rule of law, and they act wholly for their own interests. Now, Ammon Bundy and his brother and Lavoie and some others were on the road yesterday. They were heading from Harney County, Oregon, up to Grant County, Oregon for a meeting. And they were ambushed on the road by federal agents and Oregon State Police. Now, it's important to know that these men were regularly in public. They were in town. They were in public meetings. They could have been arrested any time. But this was carried out on a lonely, remote highway because a government of tyranny operates under cover of night. They operate in secret because they seek to abuse and extort. Now, they stopped these people, and the government agents murdered Lavoie Finicum. And this is a great loss for liberty because Lavoie was a peacemaker. Lavoie was one of the finest patriots that America could hope to have, and he showed us what it was like to be a founding father. He wasn't a man that sought violence. He wasn't a man that sought war. He was a man that sought to love his neighbor by defending peace and by defending the rule of law. And so they killed him. And as America reels from this, we need to look at what's happening. We need to be ready to stand bold and defend liberty. We cannot let ourselves be dissuaded by the terror tactics of tyrants. But at the same time, we need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves, in that we need to be wise in our actions and seek peace. But that does not mean we do not defend against evil, because the righteous man loves his neighbor, and the righteous man defends the rule of law. So now, with Ammon and most of the leadership down there arrested, we have a few patriots left on the refuge that are holding their own, but they are surrounded by hundreds of federal agents. Roads are being blocked off. Checkpoints have been set up. And this morning they had a press conference filled with propaganda to call them criminals and point the finger at them and defend their murderous actions. But the wise man can look on and see who the murderers are. The wise man can look at our Constitution and the rule of law and the principles that this nation was founded on and understand that if we do not act and if we do not step up, we place our children into the shackles of a slave. Because this nation is no longer operating with a government that complies with the law. We have a government who acts with impunity to law and who abuses and who extorts and who destroys and kills and violates and protects their own corrupt people. And so as we look around and say, well, what now? What do we do? They just kill us when we stand up. We need to remind ourselves that liberty comes at a price, and that we must stand and we must do wisely and boldly. And if we look at the example of men like Lavoie, who loved peace, not who were the first to draw their guns or who were eager to spill blood, because bloody revolution should be the last resort of principled men. We need to get on our knees. We need to seek repentance. We need to seek justice. But we need to be willing to rise for liberty. We can no longer allow the government to murder and abuse and terrorize. Will we allow this government to continue slaughtering and to set an example that we must bow to them alone? I do not bow to them. I bow to one. And to our patriot groups and militias and oath keepers, men who have prepared and are equipped to stand. If we unite, if we stand principled for liberty, the hope is that we can avoid bloodshed. By standing armed and principled and bold, it is the best way to avoid bloodshed. We need to seek peace, but we need to do so boldly, and we need to make no mistake and no excuse. Because these criminals spilled blood yesterday. They spilled the blood of patriots. They declared war on law and liberty. And this has been coming for a long time. So we should never act rashly. We should never act in vengeance and anger, but we need to look at where our nation is. We need to look at our children and our wives and our friends and our neighbors, and we need to decide, are we going to step up now and oppose tyranny and oppose the wicked and defend righteousness? Or are we going to wear the shackle of a slave?